Hello, and welcome to yet another edition of Cedric Nunn's Photo Talks, in which I talk about an image I have made, um, including its content, context, and aspects of its making. Um, the image being discussed today, caption reads, "A tenant farmer family evicted from white owned land, Weenan, KwaZulu Natal, 1988." And this image, which falls under the rubric, if you like, of the forced removals in South Africa, um, there was a particular aspect of which that related to tenant farmers or tenant farming, which had been an age-old practice in South Africa, where indigenous people had to come to terms with um, assuming the role of tenant farmers to have access to land if they chose to remain on the land and wanted to in fact farm the land. In the early days, they would have a relationship where they would, for 6 months, be free to do whatever they wanted, have access to land for grazing, for growing crops, and then as a kind of a rental for that, um, work on the farmer's land, the owner of this land, the new owner for this land. And a great book here on my shelf that tells the wonderful story of tenant farming is highly recommend. The Seed is Mine, The Life of Cass Main, a South African sharecropper, also called sharecropper is the American term for tenant farmers. So I'm not really I don't have all the details about about exactly when the state, South African state, introduced a law, because this practice was continuing, because it was convenient. It was a time-tested practice that worked. So to enforce the apartheid legislation of having black people not live on white land unless they were really absolutely employed and had no rights to it, other than living in accommodation provided by the farmer, introduced legislation that made it illegal and began to strictly enforce that legislation. So towards the tail in the 80s, that became really pronounced, where black people were being pushed off those lands that they had lived on for generations, actually. And I think subsequent to 1994, black people have in fact reclaimed some of that land under the land restitution laws. So here in Weenan, I came to Weenan with the organization, the Association for Rural Advancement, Pietermaritzburg-based NGO that continues to this day to assist people, rural people, with the issues around living and working the land, living on the land and working the land. And found this tent city on the periphery of the village of Weenan, where there was this huge number of people, and in the kind of tents that you see here. So there were maybe about 50 to 60 of these tents, a village of people living, waiting to find other places to start their lives anew again. And this was one such family, and it really does capture that the hardiness, if you like, of the people of that region, and I have a few other images that are in this compilation, and again, this initial and sort of inaugural talk series that I'm doing is from my mid-career retrospective called Call and Response, which was produced about 10 years ago and covers the first 30 years of my photographic career. There are a few other images that are from this shoot that are included in this compilation. And Weenen, as we know, is the place of weeping, named because fairly nearby was a massacre site that the Boers were subjected to, where in their very early foray into this region. And so this contested region remains contested even to this day, I think. And yeah, it's I think you know, a fairly strong image that captures that aspect of the phenomena of forced removals, where over 3 million people were relocated, moved in the social experiment of apartheid from one place to another. My family was affected by this as well, not in such brutal ways, but yeah, it's never easy to have to leave your place because spatial planners, or an ideology more likely, deems that you are unwelcome where you are, and we really need to get on to building people and assisting people to build their lives where they choose to live throughout this world, and respecting the dignity of people. So here, a family in transition, and one wonders where those little kids are now in the world. I'm quite sure that some of them have grafted themselves into the new places. We are a hardy folk as South Africans. We find a way. So I think I'll end it there and say thank you for watching. And for more information on myself and my work can be found on my website, a link to which, including my blog and email address, can be found in the video description below. If you like this talk, remember to click the like button and press subscribe. It helps the channel grow. Thank you.